says, say you need 40 pounds of 48% silver alloy to finish a collection of jewelry. How many pounds each of 45% silver alloy and 60% silver alloy should you melt together to obtain the alloy that you need? So right off the bat, let's just try to find what is the problem asking for, right? That's always a good thing to do with word problems. First thing to do is find out what it's asking for, and you can go from there. So it says how many pounds each of 45% and 60%. So that's saying how many pounds of 45% alloy and how many pounds of 60% alloy, right? That's what it's asking for. So let's go ahead and give those variables. Let's just go ahead and say, I'll make my 45%, however many pounds that is. I'll make that X, right? Hopefully you can see that. And I'll make this 60% alloy, however many pounds of that, we'll say is Y. So we'll say that X is going to be equal to like the number of pounds of 45% silver alloy. Okay, and then we'll say that Y is same thing, number of pounds, but this time of the 60% alloy. Okay, so then now that we've come up with our variables that we're looking for, let's try to make some equations so that we can solve for that system of equations. So notice we're basically mixing this many pounds of 45% alloy and this many pounds of 60% alloy to get our, what we end up with, which is the 40 pounds of 48% alloy, right? That's our end goal right here. This is what we're looking for at the end. So notice that if we're adding X pounds, remember X is a number of pounds, so is Y. If we're adding X pounds and Y pounds and we want 40 pounds in the end, that's already an equation off the bat, right? We already know that if we want 40 pounds and we're adding X plus Y pounds, then X plus Y should equal 40, right? Okay, so that's one equation done. So then what is the next one? We only need one more, right? So let's think about it. So if 40 pounds of 48% silver alloy, basically what that means, let's think about it this way. If you have 10 pounds, right, of an alloy, and it's 50% silver, that means 5 pounds of that alloy is actually like pure silver, right? The rest could be like, I don't know, some other metal, I don't know, like copper or something like that. But if it's only 50% silver and you have 10 pounds, that means 5 pounds of those, half, right, 50% is half, is silver. So 48% of 40 pounds, right, if it's 48% silver, that means you're going to have, I think it's 19.2 pounds of silver within this 40 pounds. And so, basically to get that, you just multiply 48%, which is 0.48, right, converting between percents and decimals. 0.48 times 40, that's going to give you the amount of silver. So you're looking for that much silver, and so to get to that, you're going to add, like X amount of pounds times 45% to get that much silver. And then Y amount of pounds times 60% to get that much silver, and adding them all up should come out to however much silver you have over here, which we said is 19.2, right? But it's just the same thing as 40 times 0.48, but I'll show you, and it should make more sense if I just write it out. So, let's see if I can just remember these numbers. So X45, Y60. Okay, so basically what we're going to have is X is the number of pounds times 45, right, because it's the 45% alloy. So I'm just going to write it as 0.45x, right, that's 45% times X, plus the 60% goes with the Y, right, so we'll say 0.60, here I'll write a 0 here to be the same, times Y, right, this is going to give you how much pounds of silver, you added with your Y alloy, equals, and then over here, we're just going to put what we wanted, right? We want 40 pounds of, what was it? 48%, right? So we're going to say 0.48, which is 48%, times 40 pounds. And so really quick, now just to just to make it start to make sense, this is the percentage 45 times the number of pounds, right? 45% times X amount of pounds plus 60% times Y amount of pounds should be 48% times 40 pounds. And so, like if you want to think about it like this is just the number of pounds, this is the percent, right? And so we have this thing where it's like percent times pounds plus percent times pounds equals percent times pounds, right? So that's how maybe you want to think about it to sort of memorize how you have to set these up. And then so from here, all you have to do is solve. And so for this one, we're going to do substitution. So notice how x plus y equals 40. We could easily just minus a y, right? And so I'll just do that right here really quick. If I minus y on both sides, right, it cancels right here. And I'm going to get x equals 40 minus y, right? And then I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to plug that in for the x right here, right? Because x is equal to that. So over here, I'm going to have and then I remembered that 0.48 times 40 is actually 19.2. So now that we have an equation with only the y as the variable, right, you distribute this over here, then you solve for y, and then once you get the solution for y, then all you have to do is plug that back in and solve for x. Okay, so continuing, we have 0.45 times, in parentheses, 40 minus y, plus 0.60y equals 19.2, right? So we'll distribute the 0.45 into the parentheses, right? 0.45 times 40 is 18, minus, 0.45 times y, we'll just leave it, plus 0.60y equals 19.2. Then over here we get 18 plus 0.15y equals 19.2, right? We just combine these like terms. Negative 0.45 and positive 0.60 gave us a positive 0.15y. Okay? So moving up here, so we subtract the 18 from both sides, right? Oops. Okay, and then so 19.2 minus 18 is 1.2, and then 18 minus 18 is obviously 0. So then we get 0.15y equals 1.2, then we divide both sides by 0.15, right? And that gives us y equals 8. Okay, so then we've already solved for y, right, which was the amount of 60% alloy that we wanted. So in order to solve for x, all we have to do is plug that into one of the equations that we had up there, and then one of them was x equals 40 minus y. So if we go ahead and we plug in 8 instead of y, we're going to get x equals 40 minus 8, which means x equals 32. So then the answer to our original word problem was that we need 32 pounds, right, of the, I think it was 45% alloy. Let's just double check. Might have been 42. Yeah. So we need that many pounds, 32 pounds of 45% alloy, and we need 8 pounds of 60% alloy. That would be the answer to this problem. Okay, so we did one together. Now let's try this one on your own. And so it's basically the same exact problem. Instead of percent, alloy with metals, it's percent acid, and there's milliliters instead of pounds. And so it says you want 35 milliliters of 50% acid. How much 30% and 65% acid should you add together, right? And so, just to be clear, it's saying how many milliliters of 30% acid and how many milliliters of 65% acid you have to combine to get 35 milliliters of 50% acid. So go ahead and try that on your own. Pause the video, try it, and then we'll come back and just go over the answer together. All right, hopefully you gave that a try. And so just to go over really quick, let's say we made x the milliliters of 30% acid, right, the number of milliliters, and y is the number of milliliters of 65% acid. Then we know that if we add x and y, we should get 35 milliliters, right, because that's the total. And we also know that, if we set it up similar to the last problem, it's going to be like 0.30, right, because that's 30% times the milliliters of 30% acid, plus 65% times the amount of milliliters of 65% acid should equal 50% times 35 milliliters, right? And so those are two equations. Just do substitution like last time, right? You could say x is 35 minus y, right? If we just minus y on both sides here. And then you could just take that 35 minus y and plug it in for this x right here, and then solve for y. If you solve for y, you're going to get 20 milliliters, and then you plug that back in over here, 35 minus 20, and then x is going to be 15 milliliters. So hopefully you got the same thing. If not, just give it another try, and you should be able to get it.